Paran Vibhotvad Varadeshwaradbhuta Katam Pranite Guna Vikriyatmana Ye Narakanam Api Shanti Dehina Tanishake Valyapate Vrinena cha. My dear Lord, you are the best of the demigods who can offer benediction. Why, therefore, should any learned person ask you for benedictions meant for the living entities bewildered by the modes of nature? Such benedictions are available automatically, even in the lives of living entities suffering in the hellish conditions. My dear Lord, you can certainly bestow merging into your existence, but I do not wish to have such a benediction. There are different kinds of benedictions according to a person's demand. For karmis, the best benediction is promotion to the higher planetary systems, where the duration of life is very long and the standard of living and happiness is very high. There are others, namely Gyanis and Yogis, who want the benediction of merging into the existence of the Lord. This is called Kaivalya. The Lord is therefore addressed as Kaivalyapati, the master or the Lord of the benediction, known as Kaivalya. But devotees receive a different type of benediction from the Lord. Devotees are anxious neither for the heavenly planet nor for merging into the existence of the Lord. According to devotees, Kaivalya or merging into the existence of the Lord is considered as good as hell. The word Naraka means hell. Similarly, everyone who exists in this material world is called Naraka because this material existence itself is known as a hellish condition of life. Ritu Maharaj, however, expressed that he was interested neither in the benediction desired by the karmis nor that desired by the Gyanis and Yogis. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Prabhu, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, described that Kaivalya is no better than a hellish condition of life. And as for the delights of the heavenly planets, they are factually will o' the wisps, below the wisp, or phantasmagoria. They are not wanted by devotees. Devotees do not even care for the positions held by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, nor does a devotee desire to be equal with Lord Vishnu. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Ritu Maharaj made his position very clear. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Ritu Maharaj makes his position very, very clear. So Prithu Maharaj is telling the Supreme Lord that, oh Lord, you can offer so many benedictions. You are actually the storehouse of all benedictions. So there are karmis who want the benediction. So there are the karmis who want the benediction of entering the heavenly planets. And there are these Gyanis and Yogis who want the benediction of liberation. And I don't want anything. I do not desire for any such benediction. Because Prithu Maharaj is saying, what is the point in asking for benedictions which have been the choice for those who are bewildered by the modes of nature? What is the point in asking for benedictions which are available even in hellish conditions? This goes to show that the presence and absence of material facilities does not is not the factor which distinguishes a heavenly condition from a hellish condition. Uh, so it's not that absence of material facilities is hellish condition. With full presence of all material facilities, also there is hellish condition. So that means hellish condition doesn't depend on, as such, absence or presence of material facilities. That is the point. And objectively, we know this because the lower planetary systems, the hellish agonies are much more acute and prominent there. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. But in terms of material opulence, all these 7 lower planetary systems are very, very opulent. Very, very opulent. There is lot of sense gratification available. But it is hellish. But objectively, it is called as Bilva Swarga. Objectively, it is called as Bilva Swarga. Dark Swarga. Dark Swarga. Bilva Swarga. That is objectively what it is called as. So there are a lot of facilities. It's not that they don't have wealth. It's not that they don't have sense gratification. It's not that they don't have. Yeah. So one of the lokas only has women. That those women who entice, and then the description. What is that? Swerini and Pumschali and Swerini and one more. So they entice men. Those women are there in that, and there are a lot of sense gratification there. So anyways, that means similarly Nagaloka, actually there are these the Nagas have these jewels, and these jewels are so powerful they light up the whole planet. I don't know whether how other planets are lit up, but Nagaloka is lit up by the jewels of these. By the way, Bilva Sarga, there is no sun. The sun is only till Bhu Bhuva Swaha. Therefore, the Gayatri, Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tat Savitur, Vareniyam. There's a Lord Narayan, Surya Narayan is actually going around spreading the light in Bhu Bhuva Swaha. May that Lord show me light up to the spiritual world. So, anyways, the point is there is no sun in these planets. So they are hellish planets, basically. It's hellish. I mean, there are 28 full-time hellish planets also, or you can say very VVIP hellish resorts, further down. So VVIP, hellish resorts further down. But these planets are also hell. Actually, life is hellish there, because the amount of misery and agony is much more. So the pointer is the material facilities, absence or presence of it, does not discriminate heaven and hell, basically. Because so the discrimination has to be. So then, what is the demarcation? Actual discrimination is based on uh, 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 presence or absence of piety. Where there is more sinful mentality, that is hellish, and where there is more piety, that is heavenly. So Swarga, there is piety. That is why it is Swarga, not because it is Nandan Kanan. Nandan Kanan is fine. I mean, one doesn't all the times. Yes, so luxury is there in both the places. But why Swarga is Swarga and why Naraka is Naraka? Because in Swarga there is piety, and in Naraka there is only sinful attitude. Rather, that sinful animalistic attitude is more and more raw there. And when it go to its apex, then some VIP treatment is required. So then there are VIP resorts, which are 30, you know. So Rorava, Maharorava, na, Kumbhi Paka, they are VVIP resorts actually, where uh, uh, so many such VVIP resorts. That's 28 in number, right? So that is the point. So that's why you see, Kaivalyam is also Naraka. Because Kaivalyam as such doesn't contribute anything towards piety. The piety is a diluted word of devotion, is it not? Yeah. So because the piety what we are talking about is not material piety as such, we are talking towards about bhakti unmukh piety, is it not? So uh, so this is interesting. Why? Because uh, the uh, so this is quite interesting because the liberation doesn't contribute anything. It just takes off the sinful mentality, but then it doesn't add on anything to the piety. Is it not? So therefore, Prabodhananda Saraswati Maharaj says, Kaivalyam Narkayate. Yes. Oh, people's lives are very miserable there. Just like we see in Kali Yuga, people's lives become more miserable than Satya Trita. Why? Because although it's the same planet, the same planet, the same kind of fellows, but the minds are very badly exploded. Why? Because the sinful quotient has increased. So as compared to Satyuga, Kali Yuga is hellish. This is one. Similarly, as compared to life here, the life in the lower planetary systems is hellish because there is too much focus on sense gratification, and then sense gratification is like a very bad fire which burns. So in fact, from this Atala, I think that this Loka is called as Atala. These black magic fellows, they got these Atala women to kill the people. Ha ha. So that is that Swarini Pumstili, you know. So yeah. So वहाँ से बुलाते हैं. So that lady, yeah. So they call these fellows, they call these personalities from the lower planets, the black magic. That black magic killing person dies actually. Prabhupada explains that, right? Somewhere Prabhupada explains that. So, anyways, we don't want to go into the details of that. Uh, uh, the point is that the life is very animalistic and miserable there because so we can see Kali Yuga how the life is so miserable. So as compared to India, Western world can be called as hellish. You know? So yeah, hellish. You know, as compared to a town, a metro can be called as hellish. You know, so Calcutta is hellish as compared to Kharagpur. Delhi is a hell. You know, like that. So very simply speaking. Uh, uh, but then uh, it is very easily visible like that. Uh, like even in Australia, we tried out to distribute books in Melbourne city is very difficult. What not you have to try, you know, all what not you have to try to knock a book inside a person's existence. I mean to thrust a book inside his throat or his pocket or whatever, like that. But if you go out of Melbourne city, there are very few, good cities. I mean, metro cities in Australia. Mostly it's village. So if you go out of Melbourne city, then anybody you call, the book distribution scores easy. People are able to take, although it's Western world. So the point is, where sense gratification is prominent, life becomes hellish. People become animalistic. So therefore, so then we may say, okay, then why do devotees, want to be nishkinchana, kinchana, and all that? Why? Because material facilities have a seed of sin associated with it. It can be used in Krishna service, but by default they have that seed of sin associated with it, because it tries to capture the mind of the living entity away from Krishna. So the sin breeds. Is it not? That's the point. Duration of life, I don't think so. Duration of life in lower planetary systems, I have not heard Prabhupada mentioning that in Bhagavatam. But I don't think so. It is going to be greater than anywhere on this planet. Uh, what I believe is the scale of lifespan will be less than Bhuvar but it will be similar in all the Atala, Vitala, Talatala, Patala, because all are similar. That group or that batch of 7 planetary systems is similar. I mean, that's at best what I can say. Following the relativity of timing. But uh, having exploding options of sense gratification is not in any ways a favorable thing. It is a more painful thing rather. Yeah. Sense gratification, lower planets will come in very, very gross way. Yeah. Like animals, you have seen dogs, how do they get food? Sometimes there is one piece of bone and 4 dogs are fighting. And one who is the strongest, he gets it. So yes, you get the delicacy, but you get it in that way. You know? Similarly, uh, uh, yeah. So people, how do they get it in that very miserable way? Is it not? Animalistic way? So the way and means to achieve that is going to become animalistic. So it's very horrible. Sometimes in movies they show how people just to get wealth, they are ready to go through so many animalistic channels. It's very painful, very horrifying in that sense. Horrible things they do, just to get money, just to get. They show sometimes in movies and all. No? So that is going to increase. So in the upper planetary systems, people get it in much easier and palatable and cultured ways. Like they will do yagya to get sense gratification. Is it not? So Indra is doing yagyas to get his sense gratification. Maharaj Indra, is it not? So they will follow the Vedas to get their sense gratification, like that. So that way, uh, but even objectively speaking, it's not that lower planetary systems there is the sense gratification is more available. Even objectively speaking, sense gratification stays more in the upper planetary system, like that. So rather lower planetary systems, the madness is more there. That's nothing more than that. The madness and the frenzy is. Huh. The madness and the frenzy is much more. That means mode of ignorance enjoyment opportunities are more in the lower planet. So that's why that adho gachanti tamasaha. And now mode of passion, they remain here only, practically speaking. No, mode of ignorance, adho gachanti tamasaha, urdhvam gachanti sattvasaha. So people who are mode of goodness, they also go for sense gratification, but they are mode of goodness, they go up. So sense gratification is more in the upper planetary system, even objectively, because you have to take the integral. Is it not? Because sense gratification sustains in the upper planetary system. The sense gratification doesn't sustain in the lower planetary system. There is a lot of fight to get it. Is it not? Yes. Yes. It's the sense gratification of lower planetary systems. Yeah, even to stay and survive in the Western world, people do what not. They drive taxis whole night. They work in food stalls. They do what not actually, just to stay and survive in the Western world. Because it's a costly place. Yeah. So everything is available, but in very cheap ways, actually. So that is why our acharyas are not wanting any material facilities, although Krishna can give it, but they don't want it. Yeah, that's true. So mostly, actually, people start embracing the illusion of sense gratification. Is it not? Same thing. If you drink coconut juice, it has some good taste, like that. But what is the taste in an intoxicant, in a drug, like that? No taste in a drug. It is perverted. It's the illusion of enjoyment. It's not enjoyment also. Is it not? Huh? Like we hear Somarasa is a health drink. You know? Somarasa is a health drink. It rejuvenates one's energy, not that it intoxicates and the person becomes tully. So nobody becomes tully. Rather, they become more. Their intelligence starts working even more. They get rejuvenated. It's a health drink. But the beverage in Australia is ice. So ice is very nicely, chemicals. The naphthalene, anthracene, and all that structures are there. That is ice. I can show you the structure of that. That itself looks like, that itself looks like ghostly. That as if it is going to come and, what do you call it as, uh, strangulate, right? Yeah. Nakamaye natha tadapi aham kvache na yatra yusma charanam bhuja sapaha mahattamantar hridayan bukhachuto vitatva karana yutam eshame paraha. My dear Lord, I therefore do not wish to have the benedictions of merging into your existence, a benediction in which there is no existence of the nectarian beverage of your lotus feet. I want the benediction of at least 1 million years, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. In the previous verse, Maharaj Prithu addressed the Lord as Kaivalyapati, the master of liberation. The master of the liberation of merging into his existence. This does not mean that he was anxious for Kaivalya liberation. That is made clear in this verse. My dear Lord, I do not want such a benediction. Maharaj Prithu wanted to have a million ears to hear the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord. He specifically mentioned the glories of the Lord, that the glories of the Lord should emanate from the mouth of pure devotees who speak from the cores of their heart. It is said in the beginning of Bhagavatam 1:13, Shuka Mukhad Amrita Dravya Samyutam. The nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam became more relishable because it emanated from the mouth of Srila Shukadev Goswami. One might think that these glories of the Lord can be heard from anywhere, from the mouths of either devotees or non-devotees. But here it is specifically mentioned that the glories of the Lord must emanate from the mouths of pure devotees. Sri Sanatan Goswami has strictly prohibited hearing from the mouth of a non-devotee. There are many professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam who speak the narrations very ornamentally, but a pure devotee does not like to hear from them because such glorification of the Lord is simply a vibration of material sound. But when heard from the mouth of a pure devotee, glorification of the Lord is immediately effective. The word Satam Prasangan Mama Viri Samvido mean that glorification of the Lord is potent when uttered from the mouth of a pure devotee. The Lord has innumerable devotees all over the universe, and they have been glorifying the Lord since time immemorial and for an unlimited time. But still, they cannot completely finish enumerating the glories of the Lord. Ritu Maharaj therefore wanted innumerable ears, as Rupa Goswami also desired to have millions of ears and millions of tongues to chant and hear the glorification of the Lord. In other words, if our ears are always engaged in hearing the glorification of the Lord, there will be no scope for hearing the Mayavad philosophy, which is doomed to spiritual progress. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that if anyone hears from a Mayavadi philosopher preaching about the activities of the Lord, even if it is a description from the Vedic literature, he is ultimately doomed. By hearing such Mayavad philosophy, one cannot come to the destination of the spiritual perfection of life. Yeah. So for all, Prabhupada says a pure devotee here. Prabhupada said in another place, a devotee who is following a pure devotee can also be called as a pure devotee. So that means what it Satam Prasangat means hearing from a sincere devotee. That is the point. Because he is purely following a pure devotee. That is the point. Okay, so let us stop here. We'll continue again in our next class. This is beautiful prayers of Maharaj Prithu, glorifying Lord Vishnu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prithu Maharaj ki jai, Haripo.